Hey, Husky fans, welcome back to Fourth and Inches, a Husky podcast. My name is Trevor Mueller. With me is Degon Williams, Coach V, and UW Leah. The we had a whole different show planned about the 2026 recruits, but then a bombshell went off that I think if this goes the way that it could go, Washington or Damon Williams might end up being in some sort of a bill in front of Congress. Damon Williams signs his contract worth between $4 to $5 million. He then 4 days later he decommits, and it looks like slimy Lane Kiffin is going to be at the forefront of college football yet again, of doing something shady, and that is having a quarterback who just signed a contract enter the transfer portal with a no contact, which tells you he knows where he's gone. So I'm going to open up the floor for you guys. Let's kind of. There's a lot of different avenues. I want to get through as many of them as we can in the time that we have. So either one of you go ahead and take the floor.
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you so much. This is just incredibly disappointing, just for the landscape of college football. I think most people already have read what I wrote on Twitter, but basically what I said was what makes college football special is the tribalism and how it's different from the NFL, and that you form relationships with these people, these kids, these coaches, and that's going away bit by bit. And every time something like this happens where it just is very apparent that loyalty is just an antiquated thing in college football, that it ratchets down my commitment both emotionally and financially. And it's very disappointing, especially now that we're, unfortunately for the University of Washington, we are in renewal season. So this is coming at an inopportune time for UW, but I don't lay the blame here on the University of Washington. I think that they made they made Demond a very competitive offer, and he signed it. And my only hope right now, I don't wish ill upon Demond Williams, but I do think that when you make big boy choices, you need to live with big boy consequences. And I really do hope that the full brunt of the consequence lays to bear on him. I wish the best for him. I hope that he plays football and he never gets like severely injured and he's able to complete his college career wherever he sees fit. But I also hope that he never plays on a winning football team ever again.
Coach?
So when I woke up yesterday morning, we had a quarterback. We were bitching about who we were not getting in the portal because you got to build around your quarterback, and we had to find some receivers, and we found him an offensive lineman, and we still need a running back. And then the news started trickling out, and it was like, what? And as more information comes out, you realize that this wasn't like something that he went to the staff with and he's like, look, I'm kind of reconsidering. Like everybody on the team had to find out on social media. And when I say social media, I'm talking about the Instagram post that he put out announcing that he wanted to enter the portal at the exact same time that most of his teammates were attending the Mia Hammett celebration of life. And I've never heard anybody say anything remotely bad about Demond Williams in the last 4 or 5, 6 years. But that was an absolutely clueless, classless, like, if anything, just completely oblivious, deal. And I guess he wasn't even in town. He'd already kind of, there's so much information that's come out the last 24 hours. And
Yeah.
every time I hear something, every time I read something, I'm like, God dang, really? So it's hugely disappointing about a kid from here who has always had a sterling reputation.
I just wanted to add to that. I shout out Roman. He did an excellent podcast with Jake Butt, who is a commentator with the Big Ten Network and also a Michigan alum. And Jake made a comment about like, well, yeah, that was bad, but like Damon can't control when the offer comes through. No, he can't. But it is incumbent upon him and his people and whoever he has behind him and his team to really understand meeting the moment, because what he did, and I think Aaron Levine did a little bit on this on the Fox broadcast, I think tonight, was basically like, you stole the spotlight from a funeral. And if you didn't know that, that's not that it is your fault to not know that. It not knowing is not an adequate mea culpa. There should be an apology for what he did. Not leaving Washington, but doing it the way he did at the time that he did. No one faults the kid for getting a bag, but when you sign a contract, yeah, we're going to come after you. But to your point, Coach, I just wanted to kind of add that Jake Butt had mentioned that it's not his fault that of the timing. Like I would argue that absolutely yes, it is.
I think you have control over when you use your social media, correct?
That's correct.
So even if you knew this was going on, I mean, you could have waited. You could have even gone back to the team and said, look, this happened. Now, this is going to get really fun really fast, and there's already a lot of information out there. You know, ESPN, Pete Thamel, just so many people are taking this has become the national headline when we have semifinals tomorrow,
Yeah.
which is insane. Um, so the fun thing was like we're trying to figure out like how did this happen? He has the same representation as his head coach. And now there's information out there that somebody convinced him to leave the representation and then get out of this deal with Washington. And it's just the everybody talks about like, well, it's good that the players are finally, getting something, and that's great. But what it also has created, and what it always creates with money is involved, is a complete subset of these runners slash agent people who are just taking advantage of these kids, steering them in the wrong direction. Parents don't know. They're not equipped. They're not lawyers. They're not agents. They're not, they're just raising their kids to, they happen to be football players or athletes. It's such a non-regulated deal. Like in the NFL, MLB, they have agents, but they also have like people in the union that can help steer them to the right people if they need it. This is so unregulated. This is so gross. It is so predatory that I'm not saying the kid's a victim. He's an adult. He was already signed for what, 4.5, close to 5 million if everything panned out. And it wasn't enough. And these people said, you know what? We'll get you something better. And yeah, 6 million, 6.5 or whatever he's being promised. That's better. But you just completely made a mockery of your reputation, your image, just the way people look at you. So I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, no one's offering me that kind of money,
Right.
but this is just some scuzzy stuff.
But like the reality is people, and they are right to point at the system that's brought us to this point. But you also have to understand, Damon Williams is not innocent in any of this. Just a kid, the infantilization of these guys that are getting paid a lot of money, they're adults. They know what they're signing up for when they sign a contract. And it's the same agent as Jed Fish who read that contract, who read that language, and had him sign that deal. And therefore this is not a good character look for somebody like Damon, who's now going to be the face of the ugliest part of college football, the part that everybody but Lane Kiffin really doesn't like. And
Phil Knight.
What's that?
Or Phil Knight.
Or Phil Knight, yeah, exactly. But it's this part of college football that is driving away people that do like the sport. Like, I started the show talking about the fact that we were going to talk about the 2026 recruits, but like a lot of that used to be one of those that we got a ton of interaction and a ton of traction with, but now over the last few years, nobody cares about that as much anymore because those guys aren't sticking around long enough to be part of the program to be guys that you watch come in. Buffy Miller commented on something that I posted and thinking about like Jordan's ascension in the program into the NFL. I know that's a way different era at this point where those guys weren't getting paid at all, but still, having somebody signed up for less than a week to with a contract and leave
Mm.
is hopefully the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I'm really rooting for Washington to be the program that ends up spearheading
Yeah.
some form of normality in this sport, to figure out what it looks like to make sure that the kids, that the players are getting paid, and that coaches, programs can, fill a roster and have some sort of clarity on what they're going to have year to year, whether that's transfer rules are great. Salary caps, obviously collective bargaining needs to be something that's discussed as well, because this can't happen. This can't be an avenue for a select few teams to be able to take away players from. I mean, by the standards of what they're saying, this was on the upper echelon of players being compensated as it is. But LSU, doesn't like to invest in, education or health or anything like that, just football down there. So they just are able to outbid. And
Hmm.
I'm also, this is a little bit of I know I'm talking too much, and I'm going to let you guys
You're
come
not.
back in, but this also goes down the rabbit hole of uh I lost my point.
You were talking about the education system in Louisiana and how they very much value education and football equally. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, you guys go ahead. If it comes back
Right.
to me, I'll pop back in.
Okay.
Well,
I was gonna pop in and just say like I like where you're going with that, Trev, and I also think that the Big Ten is 100% behind Washington right now.
Right.
I think Pete Thamel, can't remember.
Sam.
Thamel. Okay, he reported that the Big Ten, all of the ADs met and they were unanimous in their support of Washington, of just like, listen, contracts have to mean something. And so, like, I think that I would have only I expected one person to dissent. That would have been Oregon, but I think that they actually have a good relationship with our athletic department. So, um, yeah, we'll see where it goes. But I think that everyone else is waiting with bated breath, outside of the Southeastern Conference, to see like what happens here. Go ahead, Coach.
one of the things that did come out last night that is completely innocuous, nobody probably cared about this except for me, is that Jed and Pat Chung got to meet with the higher ups in the Big Ten because they were attending Mia's celebration of life. And I'm thinking, would Larry Scott have been anywhere near the building or even have known what was going on if we were still in the Pac-12? No. I'm happy that we're in the Big Ten. It has obviously been a huge adjustment for everybody, but these guys are they know the business of college football and they know that there's an opportunity here. And we keep talking about, and listen, maybe people have heard me say it on this show. I don't know because I've said it a lot, and I've said it privately to you guys and friends over the last year. And people are like, "Well, why can't the NCAA do this?" and blah blah blah. Well, yeah, obviously it's because of antitrust and they don't want to get sued again. But I don't think the NCAA is at all disinterested in this or they've thrown their hands up. I think this is a very intentional step back from them, and they're waiting for moments like this because there needs to be a legal precedent set in this situation. A judge needs to make a ruling, set a precedent. This could take a while, but this could be the first step of several steps to regulation, collective bargaining, unionization of the players becoming employees slash students. I don't know. But until all this gets solved, we're going to keep seeing mediocre players go in the portal and get $4 or $5 million. We're going to see teams obviously tampering with players who are under contract. And we have not had a point. I know the kid from Wisconsin, and now, but Demond is like, this is a different situation. He literally just went through and set up his financial future, signed the papers, barely dry ink on these papers, or if you electronically DocuSign, whatever. But and then just a couple days later, 4 days later, we're talking about he gone. Okay, Cool. And everybody wondered why Lane Kiffin would leave Ole Miss in the middle of a title run at a place that had a ton of resources to begin with for LSU. It's because of that $25 million budget for NIL that they promised him every single year. So he can go out and steal your quarterback. So he can go steal your left tackle. So he can go take your three technique that's an All-American in the making. And they can literally write a check and just say, we beat your best offer. It's absolutely wild, and this needs to change. And listen, we've had quite a few over the last 24 hours, these little coogies coming out of the woodwork talking about, well, now you know how it feels. I don't think you have any clue what is happening here.
Mm-mm.
Because, they're mad about this, they're mad about that. Well, we lost our coach, we lost our quarterback. You weren't trying to pay your quarterback $4 or $5 million. You didn't get him stolen by LSU for $6 million. You're not in a major conference. Just stop with the whole like we're trying to be. No, and they're like,
Like
well,
they have reasons to be pissed. I
but
think
they're
it's
they're
unfounded.
not apples to apples
You're
by
100% correct. They
any
have
stretch
no
of
reason to uh put themselves in this conversation.
But the thing
Their
is,
conversation has happened, and it's been decided that it sucks what happened to them.
they
But it's not
want us to
Washington's
be
fault.
successful in coming up with something that helps to fix the problem. They
Hmm.
should be
Yep.
100% in our corner saying, you know what? Yeah, we need some more regulation because we're looking, and I'm not picking on them, but anybody who's not in a Power Four conference is in danger of not having a program in the next 10 years.
That's right.
And that is 100% fact, and nobody wants to see that. I think college football as a whole is done in 15 years if regulations that like you'll have a few teams that will pay because they'll always do it. That's the tradition and they have enough money to do it. And it'll just be like 5 to 10 teams rotating a national championship every single year because they paid. And everybody else is just like, what the hell?
Mm.
Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, I think that you're right that like anybody who's been kind of on the short end of the stick over the past couple of years, especially with the expansion of the SEC, the expansion of the Big Ten, they should be rooting for Washington to be part of the change that makes it better for not only us and the big boy leagues, but also for everybody else. If this pans out the way we hope it will and the regulations happen and the NCAA takes a step forward rather than taking a step back because they're waiting for bad stuff to go down so they can enact change, everybody wins. So, like, it doesn't really suit anybody for Cougs or even Oregon fans to be sitting there laughing at us. Like, Schadenfreude is coming on Friday, gang. So,
Yeah, I don't see how this doesn't kind of start to stir something within not just the national conversation, but actually maybe moves the needle in some way to make sure this doesn't happen. Because this is one I remember my point. One of the things that they talked about was kind of what you guys have been saying, like you're going to lose the fan base, and this was on Hood's Twitter
listen,
space the other day, yesterday, that if you lose a couple of percentage points per team, this college football landscape looks a lot different. And the cool thing about college football, where I disagreed, I don't care, it might have been Jake, but he said that Washington fans aren't watching Florida FSU, but like actually we are.
yeah, we are.
Like it's a regionally national sport where Saturdays for college football fans who really love the sport will usually watch the 9 a.m. game. They'll watch the noon game. They'll watch the Husky game. And as they're, finishing up their day, they'll be following the 7 p.m. kick. Like
Absolutely.
and if you start to lose that, where you wane interest because we turn into college basketball where we have a guy for a year and he's gone. There's never going to be a chance for us to really sink our teeth into a roster. Like we have these eras we have, and a lot of it you can put it kind of on the quarterback. You have the Jake Browning era that was a lot of fun. You obviously had the Michael Penix era that was maybe the most fun I've ever had as a college football fan. The Damon Williams was a year and 2 games, and multiply that by coaches. The Chris Peterson era was great. The Kalen DeBoer era was 2 years. That is the what's the Jed Fish era? I don't know.
TBD.
But we can't. I mean, it's always us. We're on a Washington podcast. It's not that we're not going to be fans of Washington, but there's a connection that each administrator, coach, and focal athlete has to make. And if you're only here for such a short amount of time, you just can't do that. And you go, you make $2 million extra dollars. You've made an entire region and everybody outside of LSU think less of you.
I would argue every institution that's associated with the Big Ten Conference. And if this guy he thinks that he can play in the league, I think that's a pretty long shot at this point. I think the message on the Spaces last night was wasn't said out loud, but I do think that like you make a deal like this after you got a deal at Washington. What does that communicate? Do you just not believe in your connection with Jeds? Jeds had a relationship with this kid going back, I think back to middle school,
yeah.
Right? So like, I mean, like, and Jake was talking about that on the podcast, with like you're gonna have to deal with the guilt that you have associated with that, and it's just like you've cashed in all of the goodwill that you've established through all of these relationships, not only with the coaching staff, with the community, with your teammates, for like a little bit more money and maybe a chance to win a national championship. And I'm not even sure of that. And do you not believe in your ability at Washington? Like, I guess not, but also I just don't think that he believes that he has anything else in him after LSU.
I don't know. I just think like of those points that you just made, like one of them really stuck out, and it's like winning a national championship and potential Heisman. That stink won't go away. Not that that's going to keep him from winning an award, because that award doesn't necessarily look at that as much as it used to, but that when Damon Williams' name will always be synonymous with one of the more yucky transfers in college football.
I agree. Like, I haven't seen this visceral overreaction of a student athlete or an athlete associated with a team in Seattle since A-Rod. Like, that's a comparison. And I mean, obviously with the advent of time and like no one still hates A-Rod, but like what Damon did after he didn't give me the Texas Rangers like tripled A-Rod's salary. LSU gave him a little bit more money, and that was worth it to not only leave in the most despicable, disgusting way possible, timing wise, and just with like it would read as like you never had respect for this place anyway. So I do think, to your point though about the Heisman thing, Trev, that the Heisman voters are like, to quote Ron Burgundy, like, their apartments smell of rich mahogany. I really feel like the way in which he has carried himself and acted this week will have an effect on no matter how he plays. He'll have to play undefeated, lights out, mistake-free football and lead LSU to the promised land to get a Heisman vote. Yes, coach.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Trevor muted me? God damn. Yeah.
He's had enough.
So a couple things to understand here. The first coach he did commit to was Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss. And then obviously that fell through. Jed scooped him up, went to U of A for about 5 minutes, and then came to Washington. Okay. Jed's always had his back. He's always built him up and said, hey, this is the guy. I wonder now. Listen, me personally, I'm still frustrated with the way we are attacking the portal. I'm frustrated with the fact that we're not in on some of the bigger names ever, like the wide receiver from Auburn. Yeah, he's going to make a lot of money. They don't want to spend that kind of money. So we know who we are. We don't have the funds. Okay, great. You were just going to give $4.5 to $5 million to Demond Williams. To them, that was the mother lode, right? That's like who said maybe that's half our budget, maybe that's a third of our yearly budget. Who knows? Maybe we got more than $10 million. I don't know. He sees these people, or he hears these people in his ear like, you should go to LSU. They have unlimited funds. They have a history of just 2 years ago, Heisman winner. Lane just built a playoff team that has a chance to win a national championship, and he did it at Ole Miss, and now we have more resources. If Demond looks around and he sees the guys we're recruiting in the portal are like unproven guys from here and there or whatever, and LSU's going after the big names, maybe Demond looks around and he says, I can't win the way I want to win here. Maybe the insecurity there is I don't think I can win a championship here because they are not surrounding me with the guys I need. And, I don't know. But if someone says, hey, they have unlimited resources, they'll get you anything you need. He's got 2 years to make it happen. And they're going to pay him more than anybody. And if it doesn't work out at LSU, the rumor is Miami. And it's like they got more money than us too. So, I mean, I'm looking around. I see we've got Denzel Boston, who's got a chance to be a first round pick this year. And that's it, really. So we're not dripping with NFL talent, at least not yet. These other teams have a lot more than we do, and they have the bigger resources. And I think as a kid, he made a decision that I'm going to get as much as I can right now. I'm going to go to the place that can give me the best chance to be successful so I can maybe get, raise my stock and get to the NFL. We are not the big boys at this point. Sad to say.
Then don't sign the contract.
That's right.
I'm not defending I'm just saying I think this is like maybe some of the mentality.
No, it's 100%. And if he were to do it before committing, I think this is a totally different conversation where we're complaining a lot more about the fact that
if he had waited and not signed anything and then got on the portal, we would have been jumping down Jed's throat. We all would have been killing him tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But now Jed's
they're saying what Jake Butt said, what the ESPN guy said is he was in the upper echelon of compensated players. So Washington
until this next class of guys gets paid like Sam Levitt and Lagway and whatnot. I mean, the kid from Cincinnati just went to Texas Tech and got what, $5 million?
You're right. And so now you're going to see the places that have your oil money, your unsavory money with the Nike swoosh, and places down in Baton Rouge. They're going to be able to spend more. And I agree with you. Washington is not on the level of some of those when it comes to the money. That's the facts. But the reality is he was being compensated very well. $2 million is a lot more money.
What they were going to give him was what he just did. Michael got to come back.
What's that?
What they were about to pay him was more than twice what Michael Penix got to come 100%. Back for his senior year.
Yes, you're correct.
And that, to us, that's enormous. That's mind blowing. That's a precedent setting thing.
Mm-hmm.
In the SEC, in some of these schools, that's Tuesday, and he's gonna be surrounded by a bunch of really egotistical and wealthy individuals in that locker room. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah.
So my question is, like, can we compete knowing that this is the way, this is the landscape that we're dealing with, of just like we're never gonna have the money that those teams have. So how can we legitimately compete knowing that that's the landscape of what we're competing against?
I tried to help, but I didn't win that Powerball last week.
Shoot. I was
Some
counting on
guy,
you, coach.
some guy in Arkansas, somebody in SEC country won the billion
Of course.
plus.
Rigged. Fake news.
Um, so your question, can we compete? And this is the thing that is just really irritating me is that Jed's message the whole time is we'll supplement in the portal, but we'll build with the high school recruiting classes. Can we keep these guys on campus once they get big? That's going to be the big thing. You cannot build if you cannot count on your roster being there every single year. You cannot develop if kids are leaving after their freshman and sophomore years. Kamari House, bye-bye. He left after his freshman year. We didn't miss a beat because we had a pretty good linebacking core this year, better than what we had last year. Here's the problem, and I say that with all due respect to Alfonso and Carson, but this linebacking core is disgusting. And then we had to sweat it out to see if we were going to keep those guys. And they re-signed. But what about next year? It's going to be the same damn thing every single year, and every other team is going through it, other than like maybe one or two teams that can just retain and get who they want. The only hope that 90% of college football has is some regulation.
Yeah.
What would the regulations need to be, coach?
Collective bargaining, making them employees, having effective buyouts, et cetera, et cetera. And every time this stuff comes up, some idiot comes like, well, what about loyalty for coaches? Just shut up, dude. Coaches have their contracts. They have, representation. They have all that stuff.
They can also be fired.
They can. And kids can be portaled out too.
But
no
it's their
protection.
decision to portal. They keep their scholarship. They keep whatever they have for that contract. At this point, and maybe that changes when they do the CBA. But right now, a player cannot be taken off. They can be
No, what they do is they just tell them, hey, you're not gonna be in the depth chart.
exactly, but that's different because if you're an employee and you're unfireable, which I guess that's a different rabbit hole. But right now, they're getting paid. They can't be fired. Coaches can.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously and another part of this conversation is the fixing of the calendar and the
Yeah.
destruction of the bowl system.
It is a bad calendar. I mean, Saban lately has been leading the charge on that, and I think when he talks, then
People
everybody else
listen.
has picked up on it. I think it's going to happen. I hope it happens this next year because the season should start earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should play on week 0, and the season should wrap up January 1st in the national championship.
Yep.
Absolutely.
The
At the
portal
Rose
should
Bowl.
happen much later. Signing day should not be 2 different freaking days. And we just need to cut out all the we've got to evolve or die.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think the transfer rule about you get one free, and then Jake was talking about grad transfers separate, and then if
Yeah.
your coach leaves, you get a free one too, but then after that, you have to sit out. Are we kind of on board with that? I think I
Yes.
am.
Long overdue.
Yeah.
Long overdue.
Mhm.
Yeah, you should get one. I mean, the archaic transfer rules of the past is you had to sit out no matter what. And then if you did it in conference, you had to sit out 2 years. I remember there was a basketball player, you might remember him from Iowa, Luke Recker, back
Maybe.
in the 90s. Yeah. And he played at Indiana or Iowa, I can't remember. And he wanted to transfer because of, whatever. But he didn't want to sit out transferring in the Big Ten for 2 years. So he transferred to Arizona, stayed there for a little bit, got out before, he ever really played there, then transferred to the other Big Ten school and got around that 2-year thing,
Mm-hmm.
which was incredibly savvy at the time because no one ever thought to do that. I think one transfer, that's all you get.
One transfer,
Hardship
including
is
coaches
a
stuff.
different deal.
Do you get a free one if your coach
No,
leaves?
that's under the hardship umbrella.
Okay, got it. And
So you
then
get one and then a grad transfer.
and a hardship
But
if
also,
that happens.
also, I think there needs to be something set in place for if you're on your, you know, you've managed to work the system. Like my coach left, so I left. But now I get my one free one. And now a grad transfer. Like at some point, there's got to be some sort of way to
Like a
kind of,
cap at 3.
well, first of all, there should already be under these guidelines, unless your coach just gets fired every single year, then what are you doing?
right?
Like you're picking the wrong damn school and the wrong dang people. But I think, yeah, I think there's just enough is enough. And I think that when you do transfer, there should be, because if they're going to be under contract anyway, there's going to be a buyout. And you can use that money on his replacement.
Now, and that's one of the sticking points of what's going on in the Damon Williams situation is there's a stipulation in there about Washington getting determined.
That language is wild.
Yeah.
What do we think the number is going to be, and are we going to be able to retain that?
$100 million.
$1 million.
Jeez Louise. Like,
Crazy.
He's gonna have Judd just walks into the negotiating office with Lane Kiffin and is like, look, we're gonna take $30 million right now. You're gonna give us 3 players of our choice off of your depth chart. Your firstborn child. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is crazy. But yeah, there's got to be.
Yeah, I think a CBA and transfer reformations are just like the bare minimum that needs to happen in the NCAA. And that'll help everybody. But it'll like places like Wazoo, it'll really help.
They need it. Did we lose Trevor? Oh, there he is.
No.
Trevor got upset with something that you said, Coach, I think. I think you were breathing down.
Typical Wednesday. I mean, no, I think everybody kind of talks about these things the same, and everybody knows what it should look like, but nobody can do anything about it yet.
Yeah, and I think this could be the catalyst to make that happen.
Let's freaking do it. And hey, you know what we can call it? The bill will be, it's like everybody's like, oh, it's the Damon Williams bill, it's the UW bill. I think everybody should be forced to call it University of Washington Saves College Football Bill.
Oh, I like that.
My God.
And that way, the Ducks and the Cougs, they all have to kind of give us credit for.
That 30 for 30 is going to slap.
It's going to be fucking beautiful.
It'd be so great.
But anyway, yeah, I think I'm tired of thinking about it. And let me just say, they have to portal in another quarterback now.
Yeah. So we talked about this in our private group chat with some of the guys from the Sound Standard podcast. Who is on your short list, both of you, on like pie in the sky? Is it like anyone but Bo Prabula? Is it anyone but Dylan Raiola?
If Dylan Raiola comes to Washington to be our quarterback, I am not renewing season tickets for sure. I'm not. There's never been a time from seeing him on the sidelines to seeing him in college football that I've ever been wowed or impressed by Dylan Raiola.
Mm-hmm.
Is he from the Valley?
He was one of those kids that Chandler High recruited from out of state. Like, I think he was in Colorado at the time because his dad was with the Lions. And he showed up, and then because he was the number 1 player in America, committed to Ohio State, and then he decommitted, and then he left again. So the kid he's a flake, and he's not that great at football, and I don't want him.
So, pie in the sky.
Pie in the sky.
Yeah. Actually, Jay Caps is pretty good. His top 2, Sam Levitt and DJ Lagway, I think.
My gosh.
Both of those would be 100% home runs.
Mm-hmm.
Can we afford them?
No.
I doubt it. And the reality is like those would be upgrades. The one that I'm interested in, and he's not in the portal yet, but there's conversations that he might be, is the backup at USC. Help me with the last name, please.
You know
Who's
it's a
back?
Polynesian name then, if Trevor's struggling.
No, it's Longstreet.
The Longstreet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Hussein
Husan.
Husan Longstreet. He's mulling over his decision. I saw that. Obviously, I started looking at some guys afterwards, and there's a story out that he's still trying to decide whether he's going to stay.
He
Um,
is too close to the same class or in the same class as our two freshmen that redshirted. That's the only thing.
right.
He's got no experience.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I
I
mean,
mean, he
Deuce
was a
Knight's name came up
right.
from Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I haven't watched a lot of him, so I don't know. But Prebula, what the fudge?
Yeah,
Like,
that would be
no. Come on, man. I just listen, just play McMillan.
at
The
that
tough
point if
boy?
that's your choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Or Byerly if he beats him out, or Beerly, or however you want to say it. But I think McMillan's got a little bit of that. I think Jed would kind of love to roll with that athleticism and the big arm and it's in a small package, but I think that there's playmaker there. Just don't know if he's ready as a redshirt freshman.
Yeah. Um,
JCap also said Austin Mack as if he has any ties to this staff other than the fact that he was at UW for a minute.
would be fun
But
though.
it'd be fun. But again, a guy with really not a lot of experience, and we kind of need a dude.
He's from
Well,
Folsom
we
High
do.
School.
Here's the thing: like, you need if you want to load up, if you look at the roster this year, a lot of it's predicated on really good quarterback play um to supplement what should be a very good defense, especially if they continue to if they fix the line, right? They got a couple of linemen from the lower levels this week. They need to get a cornerback, but the safety room is really good. You have one really good corner. You have a great slot corner, and you have really impressive linebacking core. The offensive side, the offensive line is better than it was at the end of last year, and the receivers. We need receivers. We need a running back, but a lot of that was predicated on Damon Williams and his ability to extend drives with his legs. He still needed to prove it. He's not a proven commodity. There's guys that can make it better, but the guys that are the guys that are on the table that could be an upgrade, I think are out of our price range. So what does next year look like? This changes the whole equation.
I think what we need to do, and I was thinking about this today, with all the bullshit that's going on with the NCAA basketball and having guys who got drafted are now playing college basketball. And I know that some people online were asking Skinny Eason how's his arm, which is kind of a joke. But yeah, we just need to, find some guys that, didn't use up all their eligibility and come back for one more hurrah. Um, Sort of a Keanu Reeves in the replacements type
Love
deal.
it.
Find a kid who's scraping barnacles off a boat uh, in Lake Union, and then just see what happens.
Don't say that too loudly because Jed Fish might go try to get Jaden Delora.
Everybody's been talking about Noah Fafita,
Yeah,
and
he's not
my,
leaving
my
Arizona.
friend texted me that yesterday, and he goes, "What about Fafita?" And I said, "For fuck that." Like, are we being serious?
Coach is uncorked tonight.
I mean, no, I'm a sucker for wordplay, and I'm a sucker for competent quarterback play. Let me just tell
Corner
you
of the
something.
manicured toes.
Some of these guys on this list would actively make me not a fan for a year until they left. We've had to put up with some bad quarterbacks in Seahawks history. A few of them at UW were just kind of like a little rough, but whatever. But I'm too old. I'm Danny Glover in fucking Lethal Weapon. I'm too old for this shit. We were already trying to figure out how we were going to try to win a Big Ten championship before we had to replace our quarterback. I think that if you build the roster up the way it should be built up, with some actual like hard hitting talent, not guys that are just in our price range, so to speak. You don't need a superstar quarterback. Who's the kid? Colt Dietrich from Sam
Hmm.
Houston State.
Yeah.
First of all, I have no, we don't have any film on these guys because I've been scouring the internet trying to find like highlights and stuff like this. But then you see his mugshot, his biopic, and I don't remember who it was. It might have been Hooligan, or it might have been somebody else who said that's dipshit Derek from Stranger Things, all grown up. And I was like, son of a, yeah, it kind of is, isn't it? I hope to God he's a mauler and he just looks like the dipshit next door. But
I will just
yeah,
remind you that Alex McLaughlin, first of all, he has red hair, Trevor. He has red hair.
You're
But
right. I was wrong on that.
you're good. But like the look of Alex McLaughlin, we're like, is this guy a dude? And he is a dude.
Mm-hmm.
So like I hope that the looks of like whatever dipshit, whatever from Stranger
he's
Things.
6'6", 320 pounds. I mean, it's not like he's just some little guy who's plucky and try hard. I mean, he was a really highly rated offensive lineman in the FCS
Okay.
level. But listen, I think the Demond stuff has really buried the lead for us this week. We got a fucking punter.
Let's go.
We got a punter. We got a kicker too.
Do we
It's
have a place?
amazing.
Do we have a place kicker?
Yeah.
Yeah, just what is his name? Trevor, what is his name? We just signed him today.
Texas State kicker.
Texas State kicker, that's his name.
Yeah. Formerly of USC.
Is
I
so
can tell you.
I am from the Kayla Olin school of breathing into a paper bag when a kicker takes the field. There was a long time where Grady was like, you know what, solid. I got you, boo. And after 2024, no more. So I would love to get back to a place where I can feel really confident and just really calm and not worried about impending doom.
In Tyler Robles, we trust.
Okay.
Tyler
We'll see.
Robles.
We'll see.
There he
Well,
goes.
the punter is pretty dang good. The kid from
Yeah.
San Diego State,
Mm-hmm.
and
He is
one of the most
Hunter Green.
yeah, also going to pitch a doubleheader for the Cincinnati Reds. So
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna spare us all. I can tell you what's gonna happen in the college football playoff. Ole Miss is gonna win. We all say hot toddy now, and Indiana's gonna roll. So, anything else from anybody? We're gonna wrap this bad boy up.
Um, just go out there and get a competent quarterback. Don't disappoint coach because you know what, the group chat really sucks when coach is mad.
that's not true. It's better.
It's better.
I mean, it is, but it's more entertaining, but it doesn't do anything for my confidence level going into the fall.
We still need a freaking running back. We still need a wide receiver. We still need a quarterback, and I still need to see some edge rushers. Otherwise, we're stuck at 8-4 for eternity.
Yep. For Trevor Mueller, UW, Coach V, go Dogs.
Go
Dogs.
Hoosiers, beat the Ducks. Shout out JCap.